viewers. Welcome to another edition of Edubbey past questions. So today we are going to be answering October-November 2022 Part 1 theory. Alright, so the instruction says you should answer all questions. Let's get started. Are you ready? Alright. I hope you've subscribed, like, and drop your comments on our previous videos. If you have not seen it, check up and see the previous videos we've done for 2023 November and the May June edition. So if you are ready, let's get started. Question number 1. Complete the following sentences using the most appropriate words from the list. Complete the following sentences using the most appropriate words from the list. You have center, double line space, footer, gutter, hanging, header, indebted, justified, left, wrapping. So A, the margin between the main contents of the page and the fold of a book is called a what? Yes, you said. What's your answer? That's correct. It's a gutter. Gutter. That's the correct answer. You can see it here. All right, so we put it here. An area at the top of a page is called a dash. An area at the top of a page is called a dash. What do we call it? Yes, it's called an header. It's called what? An header. All right. So, moving on to the next one. Features of word processing that cause text to flow around an image is called features of word processing that causes text to flow around an image is called, what do we call it? Yes, these are the options. Yes, it's called wrapping. It's called what? Wrapping. It's called wrapping. All right, so question 1D says, when text is aligned along both the left and right margins, this is called what? Very good. This is called justified. Justified. All right. So let's move on to question number 2. Smartphones and smartwatches can be used in everyday life. A smartwatch is a wearable computer in the form of a wristwatch. A. Apart from accessing the internet, give 3 other uses of a smartphone. All right, so apart from accessing the internet, what other things do you use your smartphone for? All right, we use it to send SMS. SMS. That is smart media messages. All right, you send SMS. Another thing that you do with your smartphone is what? Making and receiving a call. Making and receiving a phone call. You can make and receive a phone call with your what? With your telephone. All right, so what other thing do you do with your phone? Apart from SMS, making and receiving a phone call, what other thing do you do with your smartphone? Yes, that's correct. You record sound. You record what? You can use it to record sound. You can use it to record sound. All right, so apart from this, we still have so many other things that we can use our smartphones for, like taking pictures, use appointments or calendar. You can use it to check time. You can also use it to share files, either through Bluetooth, Xender, or whatever you wish to use. So question 2B now says, give 2 advantages of using a smartwatch rather than a smartphone. Give 2 what? Advantages of using a smartwatch rather than a smartphone. One is smartwatch are what? They are more accessible. They are more what? Accessible or portable, as it is on the wrist. Smartphones are more accessible as it's what? As it is on the wrist. That is, you tie it on your wrist, just like you use your wrist watches. So, and that makes them more what? More accessible. Another one is that what? Less chance of being lost, stolen, or forgotten. Less chance of being what? Of being lost, stolen, or forgotten. That is, when it is on your wrist, you have less chances of it being what? Being stolen, or you forgot it where you went to, unlike your mobile phones, right? So those are two advantages of using a what? A smartwatch rather than a smartphone. See, you have other advantages like less chance of it being dropped as it is fastened to the wrist. Can access simple apps easier, for example, heart rate and timer. So for C now, you are told to give two disadvantages of using a smartwatch rather than a smartphone. Two what? Two disadvantages of using a smartwatch rather than a smartphone. So the advantages are what? More difficult to enter the data. It is smaller, so it is more difficult to enter the data. More difficult to enter the data. That's the number one disadvantage. Another one is that smaller screen size, therefore difficult to see. Smaller screen size. Smaller what? Smaller screen size. Size. Therefore difficult to see. Smaller screen size. Therefore difficult to what? To see. Alright. So another one is more difficult to enter the data. We've said that one. More difficult to access detailed apps. For example, email. So those are the what? Disadvantages of using a smartwatch rather than what? Rather than a smartphone. So question number 3. According to research carried out on passwords, the top 3 most used passwords are 12345, QWERTY, and Sunshine. Describe using other examples the difference between a weak password and a strong password. So what tells us the difference between a weak password and a what? And a strong password. So we are going to start with 1. Weak password. Weak password is what? Is easy to guess. Weak password is what? Easy to get. Weak password is what? Is easy to guess. That is just like the 1234 up there. You can just think of 1234 and input it and you get the person's password. And that's why we said they are what? They are weak to guess. 2. Weak passwords can be weak what? Weak passwords can use personal information. Weak password can use what? Personal information. Just like if you use your birth date as your password, those who know your date of birth can easily guess your password. That's an example of a what? Of a weak password. Making use of your what? Making use of your personal information. Or the day you gain admission into secondary school, or the name of your favorite teacher, and what have you. So with passwords can use what? Can use personal information. All right. Another one, since we have 4 marks here, should be able to list and explain at least 4. So that's why I'm doing the explanation with my mouth. Then I'm writing the test for you. All right. So what other ones do we have? Weak password has repeated characters. Weak words, weak passwords has what? Has repeated, it has repeated characters. That's another example of what? Of a weak password. Okay. So another one is weak password is one that has less than 8 characters. Weak password is one that has less than 8 character, 8 characters. Then let's stop at this 4. So we say weak password is easy to guess. Weak passwords can use personal information. Weak password has repeated characters. Weak password is one that has what? That has less than 8 characters. We have others. Weak password has characters next to each other on a QWERTY keyboard. That's another characteristics or difference of a weak password. Weak password can use personal information. There are ones that are similar to the username. When you use a username that is the same password with your username. Weak password has characters next to each other, and weak password consists of all letters or all digits with one letter, all letters with one digit. Words found in a dictionary. All right, so let's go to a strong password now. These are all qualities of a weak password. Okay, so now let's talk about strong password, because we are told to differentiate between or describe using example the difference between what? A weak password and a strong password. Now let's go to strong password. Strong password use a mixture of uppercase and lowercase. Strong password use what? Use a mixture of uppercase and what? And lowercase. That's one. Another one is that strong password does not contain personal information. Strong password does not what? Does not contain personal information. All right. So another one is that strong passwords are usually more than 8 characters. Strong passwords. Strong passwords are what? Are usually more than 8 characters. All right. So let's stop here. Okay. So two of these should be able to get to your required 4 marks, since it is 4 marks. So two of these. All right. So let's go to question number 4. Question number 4 says, a teacher is setting up a database which she will use to record a student's exam marks. The teacher is planning to test the mark range using different types of test data. The range of marks that the teacher can award is 0 to 100. Roman numeral 1. Write down one example of extreme test data that the teacher can use to check what? To check the range. All right. So the teacher is testing from what? From 0 to 100. So we are to write down one example of extreme test. So one example is what? Is 0. Is what? 0. 0. All right. So you can use 0 or you can use 100, any one of the two. So let's go to 2. Extract test data is one test of test data. The teacher uses 2 other pieces of test data. Write down the type of test data for each of the examples. That is, you have TEN. Which type of test data is this? It is called what? Abnormal. It's called what? Abnormal. Why 55 is what? 55 is normal. 10 is abnormal. And 55 is normal. Okay. All right. So 4B now. This part of the database is shown below. Student name, date of birth, gender, exam mark, average mark, set, Adam, Maria, yesterday. And these are their informations. Now you are told to write down the field name, which is the most appropriate for the data type. Based on the data shown in the table, that is this table, your answers must be different in each case. For bowling, the answer will be what? The answer will be gender. The answer will be what? Gender. Now for numeric, which is an integer, the answer will be what? Exam mark. Can you see exam mark here? Exam mark. Exam mark. Right? So for numeric, which is decimal, the answer will be what? Average mark. You see decimal here? Average mark. Average mark. Then for alphanumeric will be what? Student name. Student name. Now we can bring it down here. Okay, so that's the answer. Then we have question number 5. Question number 5 says, a student is carrying out a scientific experiment to measure the temperature of a liquid as it cools down. The student uses a sensor connected to a computer to read the temperature. Give 3 advantages of using computers and sensors rather than the student taking the temperature reading herself. All right, you are told to give what? 3 advantages of using a computer rather than the student doing it herself. One is what? When you use computer, measurements can be taken continually. Measurement can be what? Can be taken continually. So that means if you make use of a computer, it can take it continually, unlike you, the individual, taking it him or herself. That's one. 2, it is safer to take the measurements. It is safer to what? To take the measurements. That is when you make use of what? Computer. It is safer to what? To take the measurements. Unlike if she's taking it herself. Number 3 now. Number 3. Measurements can be taken outside school hours since it is computer that is taking it. Measurements can be what? Can be taken after school hours. All right, so those are 3 advantages of a computer taking it rather than the student taking it herself. We have other advantages, which includes the computer will not forget to take readings. Unlike human being, we can forget, but the computer will not do what? Will not forget to take readings. The computer reads the data more accurately. The computer what? Reads the data more accurately. And readings are taken at a more consistent time interval. So let's go to 5B. We are told to describe how the readings taken by the sensor are displayed on a graph using the what? Using the computer. So let's go. The data from the sensor, the what? The data from the sensor is read or received by the computer. The data from the sensor is read and received by the what? By the computer. The data is converted to digital by the ADC. The what? The data is converted into what? To digital by the ADC. That's what? That's true. All right. Also, the software is opened on the computer. The what? The software. The software is what? Is opened on a computer. All right. Are we following? Okay, let's move forward. The graph. The graph type is loaded or selected. The graph type. The graph type is what? Is loaded or selected. The graph type is what? Is loaded or selected. Since we have 6 marks, so we should reach 6. Is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 2 to go. The data is uploaded to the graph. The data is what? Is uploaded to the graph. Then number 6, the graph is plotted or created. The graph is plotted or created. All right. So this makes it how many? 6, and you get your full 6 marks. All right. So these are the what? These are the ways that the reading is taken to display on a graph on a what? While using a computer. So let's proceed. C now. 5C. We are taught to explain the differences between measurement systems and control systems. Explain what? The differences between measurement system and control system. So in order for you to have your full marks here, you must be able to state at least 2 qualities or characteristics of measurement system and control system. So let's list them one after the other. Measurement system. Measurement system. Under measurement system, we are going to have what? Measures or reads physical quantities. Measures or reads physical quantities. That means it is only things that are physical that the measurement system can measure. All right. So 2 is that automatically detects what? Automatically detects changes. Automatically detects changes in the environment. It automatically detects changes in the environment. So these are two for measurement system, right? So we are going to write another two for what? For control system. Do we understand it? Do we understand it? All right. So let's write two also for what? For physical control system. For what? Control system. One, control system, it changes the environment. Changes the what? The environment. It changes the what? The environment. What other thing does it does? It compares against present value. It compares against present value. All right. So those are the two that we are going to state for control system. I hope you are following. All right. Next question says, there have been major issues regarding the accuracy of facial recognition systems for identifying suspects by the police. Tawara Airport has installed biometric security, including facial recognition systems, to help the police recognize known criminals entering and leaving the country. Previously, videos was taken of all passengers and then checked manually. A. Discuss the effectiveness of using facial recognition systems rather than the manual video system to increase security in this way. So, what's the effectiveness of using facial recognition to manual video system? Yes, yes, that's correct. Face can be identified faster. That is for. So we are going to look at for and against, right? So under for now, that is in support or the advantage. Face can be what? Can be identified faster. That's one. Let's look at it. How many marks are we covering? We have 8 marks. That means at least we should have four for each, for and against. So face can be identified what? Faster. Facial recognition. Facial recognition can what? Can uniquely identify individuals. Can uniquely identify individuals. Facial recognitions can uniquely identify individuals. Another one is that face can be identified by electronic comparison, therefore relatively higher level of accuracy. Face can be identified with what? With electronic devices. Electronic devices. Therefore, having higher accuracy. Right? Because of face recognition system, you have the devices that are used and we have higher what? Higher accuracy. Then the last one, can automatically compare faces from older images. Can what? Can automatically compare faces from older images. All right, so these are 4 cogent reasons, or we call them advantages of using facial recognition system. Of using what? Facial recognition system. All right, so now let's go to against. That is the advantages of using manual, which will be the disadvantages of what? Of facial recognition system. So we call it against. All right, so what do you think are the disadvantages of using this? Yes, I'm listening. What do you think are the what? Are the disadvantages? Yes, correct. Dark glasses covering may cause the facial recognition system not to work. Dark glasses or covering may cause what? May cause the facial recognition system not to what? Not to work. Yes, another one. It is harder to set up facial recognition system, or it is expensive. Harder to set up facial recognition system. It is harder to what? To set up facial recognition system. Another one is that biometrics can use a lot of memory to store the data. Biometrics can use a lot of memory to store what? To store the data. Let's add one more. It takes longer to add new people to the system. Takes what? Takes longer time to add new people to the system. All right, so these are also 4 points against what? Facial recognition system. All right, so writing this, we are going to get our what? Our 8 marks. But we still have others like intrusive, as personal details have to be stored. That is for against. With the video system, each frame needs to be checked with known images, which can lead to errors. All right. Another one is recognizing a person can be slower as more checking is what is carried out. All those are points against. All right, so let's go on. Moving on now to question number 6B. We are told to what? Give 3 examples of biometric data. Give what? 3 examples of biometric data. 1, we have fingerprints. We have what? Fingerprints. You know your fingerprints, your phone, some Android phone, you ask, put biometrics, and it will ask for your finger. So fingerprints is an example of a what? Of a biometric. Your fingerprints. 2, your what? Your retina. Your what? Your retina. Some phone has what? They have eyes, face unlock or eyes unlock. So when you look at the screen now, it blinks, then if it matches your face or your eye, it will open. And some security also have retina lock that they will need to open their eye wide to the system before the system can open. So it is also part of what? Of biometrics. Another one is speech or voice. Speech or what? Or voice is another what? Is another biometrics. So these are 3. These are what? 3. Other biometric includes vein geometry. Vein what? Geometry. We also have handprints, and we also have iris. Iris can also be found where? In your eye. Okay. All right, let's move on to question number 7. Instant messaging involves users. Instant messaging involves what? Users sending text messages to each other. Evaluate how you will use e-safety strategies in your own use of instant messaging. Evaluate how you will use what? E-safety strategies in your own use of what? Instant messaging. So how do we use e-safety strategies? Why using the what? Why using the instant messaging? 1. Block what? Block unwanted messages. Block unwanted messages or suspicious users. Or what? Suspicious users. And report the what? And report the sender. So that's one way to what? To save yourself. Another one is what? Never arrange to meet strangers alone. Never arrange to meet strangers alone. There are many people who have traveled from their state to another state or from their country to another country to meet someone they've met online, someone they've never seen before, and through that they got kidnapped or they got killed. So never arrange to meet strangers alone. Never what? Arrange to meet strangers alone. Another one is what? Report abusive messages from a sender of the messages. Report what? Report abusive messages from what? From the sender of the messages. Of the what? Of the messages. You have to report what? Abusive messages from the sender of the what? Of the messages. All right, so another way is to what? Is to avoid sarcasm. Avoid what? Avoid sarcasm. Avoid what? Sarcasm. Another way is not always meet people or always meet new people in a public place. Always meet new people in a public space or domain. All right. So whenever you want to meet people for the first time, ensure you meet them in the public space. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's add one more. Do not enable location when messaging. Do not what? Do not enable location. Do not enable location when messaging. That is, you should not turn your location on so that the other person you are chatting with will know what? Will know where you are chatting from. So always put your location off when there is need to. All right. So others include avoid giving away personal data. Don't give away your personal data to someone you don't know. When sending messages, always use appropriate language. If someone messages you with private and personal information about themselves, respect their confidentiality or their privacy. Always read carefully the message before sending. Carefully check that you are replying to the correct person. All those are ways by which you can what? You can protect yourself online. Do we understand? Okay, so let's go to question number 8 now. We are told to discuss the moral implications which need to be considered when creating an ICT solution. Discuss the moral implications which need to be considered when creating an ICT solution. So, what are those things, moral implications that need to be considered? All right, one, the ICT solution can cause distress to others or be offensive. You watch that. The solution can cause what? Can cause distress to others. So you make sure that whatever you want to do will not cause what? Will not cause distress what? To others. That's one of the moral implications that needs what? That needs to be considered. Two is what? What may be immoral in some cultures may be acceptable in others. What may be immoral in some cultures might what? May be acceptable in others. So you make sure you are always plying a middle course so that whatever you think is acceptable in your own area might not just be acceptable in another area. So you put that at the back of your mind. Those are one of the moral what? Moral implication. Becomes immoral if the person gains from the action. Becomes what? Immoral if the person gains from the action. That is the moral implication you are bringing. If you gain from it, then it is not good enough. Also, not creating a website full of false facts or news. Not what? Not creating a website full of what? Full of false news. That is, you don't create a solution or an ICT solution that is full of what? False news. Another one is what? Not creating an ICT solution that coerce people to give money. Not what? Not creating a solution that what? That coerce people to what? To give money. All right, so we have four, and we are going to stop there. Others include not invading people's privacy. Not what? Invading people's privacy. Not creating a video solution that earns you money by starting false facts or lies. Okay? Not including offensive, inappropriate, extreme, blasphemy, or discriminatory content. All those are to be do away from. Do we understand? All right, so question number 9. Question number 9 says use of smartphones to access the internet has increased by over 200% in the past 5 years. Compare the use of smartphones to access the internet with the use of desktop computers to access the internet. Your answer must include similarities and what? And differences. So let's start from the similarities. The similarities. All right. Both a smartphone and what? And desktop computer can use what? Wi-Fi to access the internet. Okay. So that's one similarity. Both can use Wi-Fi to what? To access the internet. That's one. Yes. Give me another one. Both can access the internet using hotspots. Both can what? Can access internet using hotspots. Okay. So we also have both can both can use what? Can use Bluetooth what? Tethering to allow access to the internet. So these are the three similarities I'm going to give you. All right, so we look at three differences also. We look at what? Three differences. All right, so let's look at the differences now. Let's look at the what? The differences. One, more websites will do what? We work with the computer. More websites will work with the what? With the computer. It is the desktop computer. More what? Websites will work with the desktop computer. All right. So let's also label it as what? This is what? Differences. All right. So this is the number one difference. More websites will work with what? With the desktop computer. Two, more accessible information. More what? Accessible information. That is the desktop will be able to access what? More information than a smartphone. All right. More stable and reliable connection. More what? More stable and reliable connection. All right. So there you have it. All right. You have your 6 marks. Others include larger keyboards to type in web address. That's for a desktop. Larger keyboards to type in web address. Larger screens to see the whole web page. Larger screens to see the what? The whole web page. All right. So let's move to question number 10. Question number 10 says, a group of students in a school are planning to publicize a school concert. They can either produce a web page, which will be sent to the company that runs the school website, or create a multimedia presentation and show this to students and visitors. A, give 2 types of content which could be used in a multimedia presentation that cannot be used in a printed leaflet. Okay, so we are asked to give 2 types of content which could be used in a multimedia presentation, but you cannot use it in a what? In a printed leaflet. One is the what? Moving images or videos. In a printed leaflet, you can't have moving images or videos there. But in multimedia, you can have moving images and video, right? So another one is what? Sound or audio. In a leaflet, can you have sound or audio? No. But in the multimedia, you can have sound and you can have your audio. And also, you can't have animation in leaflets, but you can have it in multimedia. So that completes that side. For 10B now, 10B says you should describe the advantages and disadvantages of using a multimedia presentation rather than a web page in the school website. So let's start with the advantages. The advantages of what? Of using multimedia rather than a web page. 1, easier to display to parents. Easier to display to parents. It is what? Easier to display to parents. 2, can be viewed without internet access. Can be viewed without internet access. All right. Another one is what? More control over the sound in the presentation as using own equipment. More control over the what? Over the sound. Over the sound in the presentation as using own equipment. All right. So these are the advantages of what? Of using multimedia rather than what? Rather than a web page. We still have others, which includes quicker to change, update content of the multimedia presentation, can take less time to display the information. People viewing the multimedia presentation will be school-based. All those are what? There are other advantages of using what? Of using multimedia presentation over a web page on the school website. So the disadvantages now. Let's quickly talk about the disadvantages. Like I've told you subsequently that previously, that there is nothing that has advantage without what? Disadvantage. So what are disadvantages? Multimedia can be seen by less people. Multimedia can be seen by what? By less people. 2, multimedia is more expensive than a web page. Is what? Is more expensive to produce than all right. What other disadvantage do we have? More specialist training needed to produce it. More what? Specialist training needed to what? To produce it. More specialist training needed to what? To produce it. All right. So others include under disadvantages now. Multimedia presentation can require expensive hardware to produce and view. The visitor may not see the whole presentation. The multimedia presentation is only available in the school during school time, whereas the web page can be used in other places. So those are what? Those are the disadvantages of using a what? Of using a multimedia over a web page. All right, moving on to the next question now. We go to question number 10C. Question number what? 10C. Question 10C says what? The students need to test their multimedia presentation before it can be used. Name 2 output devices they can use, and for each one, write down a reason for its use. All right, so one output device is what? Monitor. You can have monitor. Okay? Monitor. And what is the reason for using monitor? To show what the presentation looks like. To show what the presentation looks like. So because it's going to be viewed, so they need a monitor to display whatever they have in the what? In the multimedia. Do we understand? So output device 2 now. The second output device, we say speaker. Say what? Speaker. What's the work of a speaker? To listen if the sound matches the what? The images. To listen if the what? If the sound matches the images. To listen if the sound matches the images. Do we understand? All right, number 11. A receptionist in a medical center is going to send out emails to patients about medical results. The receptionist will use the data from patients' medical and personal records and mail merge this. One of the disadvantages of this system is that the receptionist will have access to personal data. A. Describe 4 other disadvantages of using mail merge. 1. The email appears what? Appears generic. The emails appear generic. That's 1. 2. If the email is not checked. If the what? If the email is not checked. The email is not checked and the data not kept up to date. And the data not kept up to date. Kept up to date before the mail. Before the mail merge. Before what? The mail merge. The errors are more difficult to change. The errors are what? Are more difficult to change. That is, if you have not ensured that the messages have been kept up to date before you mail merge the information, they could be more difficult to what? To change. They could be what? More difficult to what? To change. All right, so the third one now, we are told to write how many? 4. The third one, the emails may be directed to junk mail folders. The email may be directed to junk mail folders. Then number 4, last but not the least, is emails could be sent to the wrong patient. Emails could be sent to the wrong patient. Wrong patient. So these are 4 disadvantages of using what? Of using mail merge. These are what? 4 disadvantages of using what? Of using mail merge. All right. So moving on to question 11B now. 11B says, explain why personal data should be kept confidential and secure. Explain what? Why personal data should be kept confidential and secure. Patients will lose trust. That is, if their data is not kept, patients will what? They will lose trust. 2, to prevent identity theft using contact details. To what? To prevent identity theft using what? Using contact details. 3, the doctor's surgery repetition will suffer. The doctor's surgery repetition will what? Will suffer. All right, which other one? To prevent fraud from using financial information. To prevent fraud from using financial information. That's 4. We have 5. To prevent blackmail from using medical results. To prevent blackmail from using medical results. Then number 6, the data will be sensitive. The what? Data will be what? Sensitive. So it will be wrong to send it to the wrong person. Do we understand? Do we understand? Are we following? All right, if you are with me, can you kindly draw? All right, let's move to question number 12. Question 12. Question 12 says, many students prefer to store data on external storage devices like pen drives or portable hard disk drives. Describe 4 advantages of using a pen drive rather than a portable hard disk drive. Yes, what are the advantages? It is what? It is more robust, has no moving parts. as what? No moving parts. That is when you use a pen drive doesn't have any moving parts, so it looks more robust. 2, can be more easily carried. Can be what? More easily carried. Another one is what? Can use less power. Can use what? Less power. And the number 4 is a what? Have faster data access. Have what? Have faster data access. Others include have faster transfer times. Have what? Faster transfer times. All right. So let's move on to question number 13. It says hyperlinks, bookmarks, and anchors are software tools used in web pages and web browsers. Describe the function of a hyperlink. What's the function of a hyperlink? Hyperlink is a what? Is a method of accessing other resources. Method of accessing other resources from the current web page. Okay, a way for you to access other what? Other resources from the current web page. All right. Through clicking. Through what? Through clicking on the word, phrase, or area of the what? Of the page. That is what we mean by what? An hyperlink. Then 13 this says we should describe what? Describe the term bookmark. Should describe what? The term bookmark. So what is bookmark? Yes. What is bookmark? When we say bookmark, what do you understand by bookmark? All right. The method of saving a web page's address is a what? Method of what? Of saving a web page's address, or storing a link to a website, or what? Storing a link to a website. That is the description of the term bookmark. Then 13C, we are told to describe the function of an anchor. An anchor now is a specific location or reference point within a web page. It is what? It is a specific, specific location or what? Or reference point within a web page. All right. When clicked, When what? When clicked, it can move the pointer to the start or end of the page. Start or end of the what? Of the page. That is an what? An anchor. All right, question number 14 says, a researcher, a research student is undertaking a study of endangered animals in the Amazon forest. She is using a drone to replace surveys carried out on foot. A drone is a remote controlled flying vehicle. Describe the benefits and drawbacks of using a drone to monitor the animals in the what? In the rainforest. So let's start with benefits. Benefits. 1. Drones are safer to use. Drones are what? Are safer to use than risk human lives. Drones are safer to use than risk human lives in forest areas. 2. Drones can cover a greater area than a human in the time available. Drones can cover more area than human in the time available. Also, drones can be used in areas that will not be accessible to humans. Drones can be what? Can be used in areas that will not be what? That will not be accessible to human. In areas that will not be what? That will not be accessible to humans. All right. So these are 3 benefits. Others are drones can gain a better overall view of the forest than the human. And data from the drone can be automatically uploaded to computer system. All those are other benefits of using what? Of using a drone. Do we understand? All right. So let's go to the drawbacks. The drawbacks now. Can you tell me one drawback of using what? A drone over what? Over human being. Yes. If drone crashes, it could be difficult to find or retrieve. If drone crashes, it will be what? It could be difficult. It could be difficult to do what? To find or retrieve. That's one disadvantage. 2, noise of the drone may affect the animals. Noise of the what? Noise of the drone may affect the animals. 3, difficult to navigate in the tree areas. Difficult to navigate in 3 areas. So these are what? These are 3 disadvantages of what? Of using drone. So let's put disadvantage here. All right. So let's move on to the next question. All right. That will be the size of our package for today. If you enjoy the class, if you enjoy Dalton, subscribe to our page, comment, share, and like. Who knows, your friend might also be gaining a lot from you sharing with him or her. You can also watch all other Edubbey videos for fun and for education. Bye.